So I tutor this little girl I'm going to call Charlie. She's 9 right now, but I started teaching her when she was around 6. I teach in Taiwan, and some of my students, like Charlie, go to a local school. And there they teach very rigorous academics starting from a really young age. So in first grade, they already have midterms and finals and such. Yesterday, I was helping Charlie prepare for her math midterm, and things were going smoothly. She was focusing, doing her practice. It's just normal tutor stuff. Then halfway through, things changed. She said she was tired. When I suggested a different practice booklet, she agreed, but then she started scribbling her work. 14 became an H, 3 had too many lumps in it, and she was writing like these really hard, fast, jerky movements. She basically full on threw a tantrum by scribbling. So I was all, okay, you don't have to write it neatly. I get you're tired and all, but at least make it readable so I can check it. So she made it worse. So what's going through my head is, I can't let her throw a tantrum to get out of things she needs to do. Also, she needs to learn how to push through things, like when she's tired or when she needs to do something that she doesn't want to do. Also, she's being blatantly disrespectful to me. Like, she's not even trying, not even making the tiniest bit of effort to cooperate. I can't deal with this. I have too much in my life going on right now. Like, this is just too much on top of that. I can't teach her when she's like this. So I left the room and stopped and breathed. And I remembered this is how I was treated when I was a child. And though it had its benefits, it also caused a lot of problems that it's taken years of therapy to even start healing. Let's start with the benefits. I was a pretty successful child. I learned easily. I was fine at sports. I had pretty good grades. I could sing, play piano, and I was really good at being creative and organizing a fun time with my friends. Grown-ups love me. They would go on about how smart I was, how polite, how sweet, how good of a sister I was, how I would grow up to do great things. I got into the college I wanted, and I did well. I got good grades in a wide variety of courses, from math to anthropology to acting. It was all good. Until in my final year, double majoring in math and physics, I burned out. And I became depressed. The end of college is when I started to be aware of some of the problems. At first, it was just depression. And well, that just felt like it was me being lazy and unmotivated, and surely I just needed to do better. But I wasn't doing better, even though I knew I should. It became this wall for me that I knew I should be able to climb over, but each time I had some energy to try, I would climb a bit and fall back down. And so, my life stalled. I never did any of those great things people expected me to. I started many things, but nothing made it over the wall. The only things I was able to continue long term were things that gave me no pressure. On top of that, I had these times when I would get really disconnected from reality, where space would contort and I wouldn't even feel human. It would really scare me, and then I would end up panicking and breathing really fast. And that's just the mental side of things. Physically, I started having problems too. Though that didn't start happening until I was in my 30s. It started with acid reflux, which forced me to eat like my friend's grandparents. And it made me cough a lot, which would disrupt my life, my work, my sleep. Insomnia was a problem too, whenever the stress got extra bad. Then I developed hives, and now I randomly really itch, and I have to do everything I can not to scratch myself, because wherever I scratch myself, I get these like really scary red welts. Also, I just feel really tired, easily, a lot. Like I'll wake up in the morning and then 3 hours later, I'll just be exhausted. I thought there was something wrong with me physically, and I thought I was just a lazy person who would never amount to anything. It wasn't until I started doing therapy that I realized how much of all this may be tied to my mental health. Eventually, I went to therapy. And I started to realize that my brain associates wanting to do something with a waste of time, and things I was supposed to do with the only good use of my time. These two things became separate and incompatible, and that really messed with my self-motivation. In fact, it got so twisted that if I wanted to do something and I started making plans and stuff for it, it became something I was supposed to do, and I just would stop wanting to do it. For example, I had founded an online magazine, and I was really excited for it. I would plan for it, I would interview people for it, I would write articles for it, and the more I did that, the more it became something I was supposed to do, that I should do, and I stopped wanting to do anything, really. I also started to realize that the only way I knew how to deal with most negative emotions was to repress them. Sometimes my therapist would ask me how I'm feeling, and I wouldn't even know how to answer because I was so divorced from any negative feelings I had. They say that when you repress emotions, it comes out sideways. And so that explained sort of why I would have these moments of panic that I later realized were something called dissociation. Also, negative emotions would make me really uncomfortable, even if they were someone else's negative emotions. So like if my boyfriend got upset or impatient, I would become tense or stressed. And when Charlie had a tantrum, I would feel like I just can't deal. Another thing I realized in therapy is that I have this completely underdeveloped sense of something called interoception. It's the ability to recognize what's going on inside your body, like if you're feeling hungry or tired or whatever. I think I had spent so much of my life devaluing my sense of tiredness or hunger or pain as just an obstacle that I needed to push through, that I became really unable to recognize even when I needed to eat or rest. And so I would burn out. I would also push my body past what it could handle in the long term. Like, sure, I could go without sleep for a week, and the only short-term problems would be that I'd be tired. But you know, things like acid reflux, insomnia, hives, these are all caused by long-term stress, apparently. So, for the past few years, I've been learning about myself and all these concepts and really working on rewiring my brain. I've practiced developing things I want to do and recognizing when I start planning and pressuring myself. I've also worked on observing my negative emotions and some positive ones and just feeling them without thinking about what caused them or anything. This is supposed to rewire my brain to do what it's naturally supposed to do, which is process the emotion and then let it eventually fade. I've also been working on my interoception. So now I don't need to rely on my therapist as much to tell me when my shoulders are tensing up. And when I'm tired, I'm less likely to think that I should just push through it, and more likely to think now, should I just give myself a short break? Doing this is scary though. I sometimes wonder, am I leaning into being lazy? Am I spoiling myself so I become less gritty and less resilient? But I wasn't really gritty or resilient before. And all I know is that I have to do something to change things. I don't want to continue feeling like there's this wall in front of me preventing me from achieving what I want to achieve. And I don't want to continue having these times where my body and mind seem to betray me or fail me. And I don't want to pass these problems down to the children I teach. So, after I calmed down, I went back into the room and there was Charlie, still scribbling angrily away at her practice booklet. I asked her to stop working, and when she finished her page, she did. Then I asked her if she was upset at me because she had told me she was tired and unable to focus, and I didn't really believe her and made her continue working. And she did something that I do whenever my therapist names a feeling that I had been repressing. She nodded, and her eyes turned red, and she started crying. So I sat with her, and I told her that I was sorry, that she knows her feelings and her body the best, and I should have believed her and respected her. Then I suggested that we take a break, and of course, she said yes. But because I still am her tutor and I still needed to help her prepare for her test, I asked her if she understood why I wanted her to practice more and if she would be okay to continue after the break. And to that, she said yes. She would be okay to continue afterwards. She wanted to do well on her test too. So we took a break and played a game and chatted. And while we were chatting, I asked her how her shoulders felt, if they felt tense or anything, and she said she didn't know. So I asked her to feel my shoulders when they were tenser and when they were looser, and then to feel her own shoulders afterwards. Her shoulders were pretty tense, and she was entertained by my ability to make my shoulders tighter or looser at will. Eventually, after our break was over, she went back to her practice booklet and got it done, even though I did have to stay an extra 10 minutes. And she wasn't scribbling anymore. By the end of class, she was just a different girl. She was happy, she was relaxed, she was jumping around, and her shoulders were loose. Hopefully, both she and I can learn deep in our brains that we can honor our bodies and feelings and still achieve what we want.